So today, January 2nd, 2022, Happy New Year. It's a new moon in Capricorn, 12 degrees. The gate of 38, the gate of the fighter. Feeling into what is truly worth fighting for. What I really want to speak about is Black Moon Lilith, which is exactly conjunct my natal Black Moon Lilith today. And feeling into these energies of the Black Moon Lilith in Gemini is about feeling shame around speaking too much, speaking too little, and also being wary of people who use their intelligence, and possibly that feeling of envy or jealousy of people who are speaking a lot. It's this hypersensitivity to those who are perhaps being egotistical or stuck in their spiritual ego. And so today I'm seeing my own spiritual ego, the spiritual ego that arises here here's how the cycle works. There's an awakening, there's the purging process, which brings a softening and a humbling, which brings a deeper resting in the being, which brings aliveness and joy and peace. And then there's a return to the mental world and the mental process, which is, innocently is moved into with joy and ease and relaxation. Diving back into the astrology and, just feeling that the excitement of astrology. It's just a passion that comes back. But part of this energy I feel with the Black Moon Lilith is like it spins out of control in the other direction. So there's this fever pitch of mental activity that arises, and then there's the spiritual ego that says, I know something and I need to share it with everybody. So it oscillates between these extremes of I need to share everything that I'm thinking and that I'm having insights. I need to share everything. And then it goes the opposite extreme. I need to be silent. I need to go in silence and not speak. So just wanting to point out this energy in case someone out there also has Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. Today and for the next week, it's in the gate 45, which I also have in my unconscious Jupiter. And I also have a couple intense kind of masculine asteroids here, which when I had a reading with Kim Gold, she expressed it as really trying to push my wisdom out there. And yes, this happens. And yet, I just want to speak this because in truth, I'm not any of this. So in truth, bringing it back to reality is that I am aware of this process happening. And the last round of purging was about really fully accepting my character exactly as she is. So can I allow and can I fully accept the spiritual ego in myself and in others? And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a mechanism of the ego. And as I can see it happening, then there is making that distinction. that there's this gap being created as I'm aware of this spiritual ego coming back around, and really with it comes this fever pitch of spinning, which is not peaceful, and it's not the joyful being. And so that true heart's intention is to really rest as myself, that beingness. Which is really so simple, right? It's like a immediate recognition that we can shift our attention to the background of awareness. And we can watch our character go through their story with love. So just bringing the awareness of love for this part of myself that feels so, the extremes of Black Moon Lilith and Gemini, of going, feeling, I'm just going to read this from Cafe Astrology. Lilith in Gemini has felt shame for speaking too much or too little, or for their intelligence or social skills. They may be wary of people who seem to be intelligent in these ways, who are social butterflies, or who talk too much or seem to flaunt their intelligence. Their curiosity may have been stifled in some manner, and they can fear not being considered smart. They can be wicked with what they say when they're angry. Shame in these areas can lead to extremes of behavior and a feeling of being out of control. Working on self-acceptance is the key to empowerment. So my Black Moon Lilith and Gemini is in the 11th house, which has to do with, it's ruled by Uranus, and this is a house where there's indication of trauma. So there is this cycle of expressing myself and putting my intelligence or my insights out there on social media, and then this backlash of like, being judged or being perceived as too egotistical, and that comes from, I think there was a really significant lifetime I remembered in a session with Patricia Walsh, where I was a healer. I was a herbal healer back in the Dark Ages, and I was trained by my grandmother in the forest to be deeply in tune with the plants and use them as medicine. And I would go into the village with eggs, pretending like I was selling eggs, but I would secretly be delivering them herbs. And I was so joyful and happy and empowered in my gifts in that lifetime, feeling like I was really doing good and just helping people, and it was satisfying. So I had helped a woman whose husband was dying. I had given her some herbs, and the next time I came to the village, she ran out of her house and was screaming hysterically, pointing at me and blaming me for her husband's death. And this drew the attention of all the villagers and the soldiers. And so I was seen as a witch, and I was brought to trial with the king. Actually, it wasn't even a trial. He just decided to make an example of me and put me in a dungeon. And I withered away there for, it was like 10 or 20 years. It just withered away. And that's just one story, one example possibly of how this Black Moon and Lilith can express itself in the trauma, where I was sharing my gifts and then killed in a really merciless way because of that. So yeah, just stepping through this, seeing I'm aware of what's happening, and so therefore I am not this cycle. And the gate 45 is like I can see it is, when it's in its lower expression, it's like it's spiritual ego. And in its higher expression, it's a guide for the tribe through a humility. It's the gate of the king or the queen who watches over and guides and provides resources for the tribe. And being a 6-2 manifester with this channel 4521, there is this deep desire and knowing that I am here to hold space and provide resources for the tribe. Yeah. And also this desire to really come from a pure place, an authentic place. Not from my South Node in 9th house energy, South Node in Aries 9th house energy of my way is the only way and you need to follow this. And that energy comes up too. I think it's part of this Black Moon Lilith because with that 45, there's like this feeling of like, I found the way, you guys. Like, everybody, if you do it this way, then you'll be enlightened. Just laughing at myself. Oh. Yeah, so perhaps in the Black Moon Lilith return and seeing it more clearly. Oh, I wanted to mention the eclipse on June 10th of this year was on this point, gate 45, conjunct Mercury, retrograde. So we had all, perhaps many of us have felt this energy. And now it's here again with the Black Moon Lilith. And they're certainly out there, I don't watch a lot of media of out there what's happening, but I feel that there's a lot of people standing up on their pulpits saying, that I know the truth and this is the truth and listen to these facts. And there's a lot of false truths being thrown around, and there's a lot of possibility to get lost in somebody else's truth and facts. And so what to do, the simplicity of the being and the real truth with the capital T, is about like that choice to shift this attention to what's really true, which is that we are the spaciousness, we are the vast, peaceful, free, untouched awareness in which all of this chaos is arising, including this chaos. But yeah, and so just keep coming back and back and back to the fact that I am aware of this mechanism of the spiritual ego, and therefore I am not this mechanism of the spiritual ego. We all go through this in our awakening journey, this spiritual ego. And so it's innocent. It's part of the journey. Open ajna and open head center here. I feel like this is the last, one of the last things to go is the spiritual ego, is the one who thinks they know something. The person that there's like, me, Hamsa, I know the way. And the truth is that these insights and the wisdom that comes through in a real true sense, in a true moment of clarity and resting in the being is not my wisdom. It's like the wisdom of the ages and the wisdom that everybody comes to, the clarity of the self. So I'm just going to read one more thing in general about Black Moon Lilith. In your natal chart, where Lilith is by sign, house, and aspect is where you may have felt ashamed, shamed, ridiculed, stifled, deeply misunderstood, or repressed in some manner. For whatever reason, you are wary of expressing those traits or parts of your personality freely and unapologetically, and you can feel quite uncomfortable with people who are doing so. There can be a binging and purging cycle involved with these traits of Lilith's sign or house, wherein we overdo or go all out expressing these traits in extreme, then feel bad for doing so. It's so true. There's like this cycle of like expressing on social media and then being like, oh, I'm so egotistical and I should feel shameful. This leads to a purging state in which we reject or deprive ourselves of the traits. And so then the mechanism is, I better not think anything. I better not use my mind at all. I better not say anything. And then from there, this allows, and it's true, like going into the silence and the stillness is important. It is necessary. It is what allows everything to arise. So that mechanism is all being done in order to purge these layers around shame and guilt and feeling persecuted, because none of that is true. All of that is the ego's story. So there's nothing wrong with these cycles, and actually it's freeing me, and now here I am speaking about it and not feeling bad. At this point I don't feel bad. So eventually the need for them is strong, and so we go into the extremes again, perpetuating this self-destructive cycle. Although I'm not going to say it's so self-destructive, it's actually ego-destructive if we are in the path of liberation and truthfulness and seeing the truth of our ego and how it perpetuates itself. Then these patterns of extremes can bring liberation. And there's a red-shouldered hawk outside of my window, it's kind of cool when I hear it, because the red-shouldered hawk has this wider perspective, and coming back to the awareness of the true self brings that wider perspective of being able to see the character and love the character, my character, exactly as she is. So I hope you can also sink in to that place of awareness and just watch your character going through these extremes and love them and allow this purging process to open the heart, bring more spaciousness, more space, and it's just more space for true consciousness to embody in the being. Yeah. So, happy Black Moon Lilith return to me and anyone else who has Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. I'd love to hear, if you want to know what energies your Black Moon Lilith is, then put it down below where your Black Moon Lilith is, and maybe I'll take a stab at trying to describe the energies. Or if you're going through a Black Moon Lilith return, or you have gone through a Black Moon Lilith return, I would love to hear your experience. Thanks for watching, and much love to you on your journey home.